Hi folks, Hugo Rivera here with HugoRivera.net, and once again I have the great presence of former Mr. Universe, top 3 finalists in the Olympia. I don't know how many times, I mean I lost count, it's way too many times. And also IFBB Hall of Famer and best-selling fitness author, Labrada.
It's great to be here, Hugo. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Today, Lee is going to be covering for us the topic of posing, because we've been talking, and a lot of us who still watch the bodybuilding shows are into the bodybuilding sport.
Right.
You know, we're looking at the guys from like the 80s and the early 90s, and the posing was an art, okay? And we can go even back further, you know, to the 70s and whatnot. And posing seems to be a lost art. So I want to get your take on the subject, because you still are an incredible poser.
Thank you, Hugo. Thank you very much for that. You know, good posing is timeless. Mm-hmm. You know, and I hate to say that posing is a lost art. I would like to say that posing is an art. Mm-hmm. And it's an art form as an artist that works in flesh. So in the gym, you are sculpting the muscles, you're sculpting your body, and then on the stage, you are presenting your art form, you are presenting your masterpiece. Mm-hmm. And I think that unfortunately, some of that has been lost in the current generation of bodybuilders, and especially professional bodybuilders. And I think that it's the result of the fact that there's so much emphasis that is put onto the muscular development of the physique, with less emphasis on the presentation of the physique. Yes. But for me, one without the other, it's almost like Da Vinci presenting the Mona Lisa and basically putting it not in the Louvre, but you know, on a street corner, yeah, you know, and just moving it around, and oh, here it is, you know,
in the corner, yeah, in the corner over there, you know, yeah, it's like for everybody to see.
It's a masterpiece. You've worked so hard in the gym to create it. Why not present it correctly?
Absolutely.
That's not to say that there's not good posing today. There is. There's mm-hmm. very good posing today. And it's just that more and more what I'm seeing is that people are inclined to just hit these freaky mandatory type muscular shots.
Right.
And they forget about the transitions and the beauty and the grace of the human body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that is key, because I think bodybuilding, and this is almost another completely different conversation, but I think bodybuilding today has lost also a little bit of the art form part of it, in terms of even the physique development. Mm-hmm. I think the emphasis today is on mass, and like, you know, the beauty of the physique itself. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said this many years ago. More mass is not always necessarily better.
Exactly.
You know?
Sometimes more is just more. And what bodybuilders lose sight of is that mass is but one aspect of muscular development, of physique development. So yes, you have to have adequate muscle size, mm-hmm. but there's a point of diminishing returns beyond which the muscle size starts becoming a detraction, not a distraction, mm-hmm. but a detraction to the overall balance and beauty of the physique.
Right.
You know, and so that point of no return obviously is one that is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
From my perspective, if you look at the physiques of the 80s mm-hmm. and even the 70s, mm-hmm. you see physiques that were more balanced and more athletic looking, mm-hmm. and more proportionate and more pleasing to the eye than what you currently see on a professional stage.
Correct. And I think that's why bodybuilding was more popular. There is the sport of bodybuilding, because I think,
and professional bodybuilding in particular.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, there are 2 aspects to bodybuilding, as you very well know. You know, there's the lifestyle of bodybuilding.
That's right.
And the lifestyle, I think, is way more popular now than ever.
Exactly. And you know? Just to build on what you're saying, the lifestyle of bodybuilding being those that use weight training and mm-hmm. nutrition to shape their bodies and to change the way their bodies look. The number of people participating in it at that level is greater than ever. It's thriving. But the number of people that are participating at the competitive bodybuilding level, you know, arguably has diminished over time.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I think the reason for that, Lee, is because when you look at the physiques of the 70s and the 80s, even if not everybody could end up looking exactly like that, at least it's a physique that is way more attainable. It's inspirational because you say, okay, if I could achieve at least 70% of that, I'm doing amazing, you know? And the problem is that now, even a guy like me, and many people think I'm big, I look at the top professional physiques, and I really respect these guys because what they do in order to...
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
They're warriors, you know how it goes. But, you know, the standards of the sport now are so big that, you know, even I say to myself, I could never look like that.
It's alienating for most, you know. But again, this is not a condemnation of the of bodybuilding or the physique standard, what it has evolved into. But it is merely positing that good posing to show off the physique to best advantage is something that I believe needs to become more prevalent.
Yes.
Okay, because I think that it's kind of lost its way. You know, in the pursuit of the extreme mass, as we've discussed, it seems like posing has been brushed to the side as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and posing is the presentation side. You know, and the presentation side is very, you know, it's very important. You know, on that topic, Hugo, I think that that a lot of the classical posing of yesterday was great because the classic masters of posing like Ed Corney and Frank Zane and Muhammad Makwi and I mean the list goes on. There's such great posers. The list of great classical posers, they took as much time to work on transitions, what I call dynamic poses, which are the transitions between poses, as the static poses themselves. You know, the static poses being once you know, have finished transition and lock into place with a pose. And so one thing for those of you that are watching that want to become great posers, something to keep in mind is that your transitions should be worked on just as much as your static poses, the final poses.
Great.
And I would say an equal amount of time put on each. So in other words, if you hold the pose for 3 seconds, then a transition should take 3 seconds into the next one. You know, so it's one of those things.
There's no need to hurry the posing, because as I see a lot of contests today, and this happens at both the amateur and the professional level, the guys are really hurrying the poses and just kind of like locking them down, and sometimes not even locking them, kind of like hitting them for like a split second, and then they go to something else.
Exactly.
It looks kind of choppy.
You need to hold the pose for 3 seconds, okay, to allow the judges and the audience to fully take in the impact of a pose. You know what's really interesting, and I think when I have been even at the topmost level, like at the Mr. Olympia, the theater that those are held in, the arenas that those are held in, are quite large. And so it takes a second when somebody hits the pose before the audience can lock in and fully take in what they're looking at.
That's true.
And I have found that those guys that hold their poses just a little longer, you'll just hear the applause just gradually grow.
Agreed.
You know, as more people take it in and they go, wow, look at the development. You know, and you give them enough time to appreciate it. You know, you have to hold the pose.
Well, and furthermore, when you hold it for 3 seconds, you're able to get a few more striations that you wouldn't see if you just hold for 1 second.
That's exactly right. So you have the striations coming out, all the muscular quality, and people then can see more detail. You know, it's the difference between having a picture flashed at you versus holding that picture out so that you can actually focus on the image for a few seconds and fully appreciate it. So holding the pose, you know, and then going into a beautiful transition that takes approximately as long as the pose that you held.
And you know what, Lee, with your permission, I'm going to link over here your list of posting videos from your YouTube channel, okay? And by the way, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go ahead and click over here and I'll subscribe you immediately. Tons of information on training, nutrition, supplementation, motivation, and the posting videos that I want them to see. So they see how you used to do it, because you post beautifully. I mean, it's a work of art, and the way that you synchronize the poses to the dramatic music that you always chose, it was something incredible, you know, to see you guys like from your era, you know, Sean Ray posing,
incredible poser, yeah.
You know, Bob Paris, incredible poser as well, you know. All these guys, you know, it's just a completely different ball game. And I love for people to bring that back into their routines. I mean, if you're a competitor, definitely pay attention to your posing. And that's something that I always teach all my students. I always tell them, bodybuilding is the only sport where you train in one way and you present in another way.
That's interesting, but that's correct, yeah.
And it's equally important to go ahead and learn the bodybuilding poses and do the proper transitions. And I gotta tell you, Lee, when my wife Cecile decided to do her first contest, we worked on posing as much as we did on training.
That's great.
It was not something that we started at, say, 4 weeks out or even like the night before the show, like some people would do. She worked on it for a whole year.
That's great.
So, you know.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And as you know.
Yeah, put some effort into the presentation.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
And as you know, it takes endurance too.
It does.
You cannot just show up over there
and think. That's exactly
right.
A good poser makes it look easy, but it's work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's
work.
know,
it's constant tension in every single muscle while keeping a nice smile.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So with that said, Lee, I recommend that you go ahead and do a video on this subject.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that because I am doing a series of 10 videos, actually, with Flex Magazine. They're going to be available in January 2015 on Flex Magazine online. And so it's a 10-part series that teaches the viewer how to pose, all the fundamentals, and then all of the advanced concepts and tricks that I used as a poser myself on the Olympia stage. And that's also going to be available on ifbb.com for athletes all over the world to learn how to pose.
Oh, that's excellent. Honestly, that's valuable. I'll tell you what, when you come out with those videos and they're online, let me know and I'll go ahead and link them to this video as well.
That would be great.
And in addition to that, of course, I'll make an announcement to all my people via my newsletter and my social media so that everybody knows that it's out there. That's a great resource. And I mean, if you're a competitor or thinking about competing, you definitely need to take a look at this stuff. Honestly, posting is how you present yourself. So, and as you know, you could sometimes beat, well, you're the master of doing this. How many bigger guys were you able to beat, you know, just simply with your complete physique and the posing presentation? Because you could have a complete physique, but if you don't know how to present it.
That's right. That's right. And it's especially important for someone like myself that was often giving away a 30, 40, or even 50-pound advantage. You know, you have to come in sharp and detailed, and you have to present in such a way that you hold the poses and show the judges exactly what you have, and then flow with a beautiful transition into another pose. These transitions are very captivating, you know, because that's where it's dynamic and the body is moving and the muscles in motion. Yes. You know, and it really draws the viewer in.
It goes back to that scene from Pumping Iron where the ballet girl is teaching Arnold and Franco about transitions. And she tells him, you know, the people are not just looking at you in one pose, they're looking at the whole thing.
That's right.
So you have to make sure to get those transitions right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. The old timers had it right.
Yeah, I figure. Yeah. Go figure. Yeah. At any rate, thank you so much. And Lee, with your permission, I want to invite people to subscribe to your channel.
Thank you.
All they have to do is click here. And furthermore, let's go ahead and make the time to talk about bulking up. I think some people want to hear about that.
Well, you got to bulk up before you cut it down, or so they said in the old days, right?
That's what they said in the old days.
Let's find out if that's true or not.
You got to get big and fat first and then trim it down. So we'll see. At any rate, Until next time, take care and train hard.